So today's newspaper article is called Secretive COVID Era Spy Agency Brought in to Monitor Social Media During Riots. Okay, now a riot is where there is a breakdown of law and order. And the newspapers have been screaming and shouting about riots. They've even been telling us where the riots will happen, in which cities beforehand. They've been doing their best to make sure that as many people as possible turn up to the riots, but unfortunately for the newspapers, nobody cares and nobody reads them anymore. And so a lot of these riots, in my opinion, have been over-exaggerated. And the vast majority of people in this country are not rioting. The idea is ridiculous. But I still found this interesting. The COVID-era spy agency brought in to monitor social media. I suppose that includes YouTube channels. So, National Security Online Information Team, this is the name of this dubious organisation, the National Security Online Information Team, to play a central role in response to violence sweeping the UK. Do notice that the articles are missing, to play a central role in the response to the violence sweeping the UK. So please be aware of that in newspaper articles, especially in the headlines, usually they miss out the articles, okay? And they also miss out auxiliary verbs and things like that. So that's well worth remembering. Okay, let's read further. A secretive government agency used to spy on anti-lockdown campaigners during the COVID pandemic has been deployed to monitor social media amid the riots, the Telegraph has learnt. The Counter Disinformation Unit, this is another name for this strange organisation, now rebranded as the National Security Online Information Team, has been given the task just months after MPs called for an independent review of its activities. So some people are calling for a review of what exactly this organisation does, who they are, how they decide what is allowed on social media and what isn't allowed. Some people are calling for an independent review. Do remember this phrasal verb, to call for something. And I think an independent review would be very interesting. So, campaigners have expressed concern that the National Security Online Information Team is playing a central role in the riots. Response: despite outstanding questions over whether it is fit for purpose. So outstanding here does not mean fantastic, great. And it does mean that sometimes if you say that was an outstanding mark, on your exam, and that means it was a fantastic mark. But here it also means remaining. When something is outstanding, it's remaining. And so this is in spite of the fact that there are questions remaining over whether it is fit for purpose. And that means whether it is suitable for the job that it does. So Peter Kyle, the Science, Innovation and Technology Secretary, has asked the National Security Online Information Team to monitor online activity discussing the deaths of 3 children killed in Southport and the rioting after the widespread public disorder followed untrue claims about the suspect on social media. The unit has trusted flagger status, which effectively gives it privileged access to social media moderators who make decisions on whether posts should be taken down, it is understood. I had 4 posts taken down yesterday, and they were nothing to do with the riots, but they were about a certain medicine that must not be mentioned, and the side effects of the aforementioned medicine. So that, I think, is the actual aim of this strange organisation, the National Security Online Information Team. I think that they are trying to save the profits of the big pharmaceutical companies, and I don't think that they really have the citizens of Britain's best interests at heart. So the campaign, what was it called? The Counter Disinformation Unit was set up in March 2020 to combat what Boris Johnson's government described as false coronavirus information online. Yeah, so in other words, if you didn't say safe and effective, then your post was taken down. But, as the Telegraph later revealed, was also used to crack down on dissent from those who disagreed with official policy. So they cracked down on free speech. Yeah, they cracked down on anyone who was saying something which did not go with the coronavirus narrative that Boris Johnson set up. Okay, among those who were monitored by the unit were Carl Hennigan, the epidemiologist who opposed blanket lockdowns, Molly Kingsley. Now, she's related to an MP. She's actually what we call a shill in the UK, and a shill is somebody who is controlled opposition. She runs the Us For Them group, and she campaigned to keep schools open during the pandemic. Well, of course, that would have been a good thing, but it wasn't what was done. And David Davis, the Conservative MP who called for the counter disinformation unit to be shut down. He's an MP as well, so he's not to be trusted. He's a Conservative MP, to be precise. Big Brother Watch, the civil liberties group, described the counter disinformation unit as one of the most opaque units. Opaque means not clear, not transparent. Opaque units in government outside the security services, and accused it of spying on free speech. Yes, I agree, they spy on YouTube channels. Silkie Carlo, its director, has now questioned whether it, rather than another agency, should be used in response to the riots. She told the Telegraph there are serious questions as to whether the National the National Security Online Information Team is fit for this task, fit for purpose, fit for this task, given its chilling track record of monitoring the lawful and accurate speech of Mr. Skype lessons, journalists, scientists, parliamentarians, human rights advocates, and everybody else during the pandemic, when they rightly questioned the government's pandemic management, and they rightly questioned other things as well, such as the medicine which must not be mentioned. It's worrying to see the national, brought into action shortly after its controversial activities were exposed, and that's of course they're shutting down free speech, and before it has been subject to the important independent review the Culture Committee called for. Ms. Carlo described the online information team as a deceptively named shadowy Whitehall cell which operates far beyond national security, and said that if the government were to stray into censoring lawful free speech, which they have been doing for the last 3 years, it could inflame tensions and distrust rather than promote social harmony. Well, we'll stop there for today, because of course it has inflamed tensions, and of course this organisation has made everybody distrust the government, the health service, and just about everybody else in a position of authority. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll do another article soon.